The cold winds of the Orion cluster whispered through the abandoned shipyard. Broken pieces of metal and torn cables littered the ground. For decades, no one had cared about this place. Most beings in the galaxy had forgotten it existed. Among the ruins, a colossal shadow loomed, a starship so large that even the alien freighters passing nearby seemed small in comparison. Its hull was scarred, its engines silent, and most importantly, no one claimed it. Many had tried to examine it in the past, but the galaxy's top engineers had refused. Some said it was cursed, others said it was unstable. They called it the Forgotten Leviathan. But humans saw things differently. To most, a broken machine was just scrap. To Jihoon, a human mechanic working in a tiny salvage yard nearby, it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. Unlike the highly advanced alien engineers, Jihoon had no fear of the unknown. He had grown up repairing small ships, learning to improvise with whatever parts he could find. That skill, combined with his curiosity, had saved his life more than once. And now, standing in front of the Leviathan, he felt a strange excitement that he had never felt before. Jihoon stepped onto the shipyard's cracked platform, his boots clanging against the metal. He examined the starship's hull. Large sections were missing, exposing complex circuits that twisted like alien roots. The ship's paint had faded, leaving only streaks of silver and black. Some symbols were etched into the metal, written in languages Jihoon had never seen. Most humans would have turned back at this sight, but he saw potential. He saw intelligence hidden beneath the damage. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding," Jihoon whispered, brushing a layer of dust off the ship's entrance hatch. It groaned but slowly opened, revealing a dim interior. He stepped inside, the lights flickering weakly as he moved. The air was thick, filled with the smell of burned circuits and old oil. As Jihoon walked deeper, he saw something unusual, a console glowing faintly, showing symbols that shifted and changed. He reached out, pressing a sequence of buttons he didn't fully understand. Instantly, the ship vibrated, and a low voice echoed through the corridors. "Who awakens me?" Jihoon jumped back, eyes wide. "I am Jihoon, a mechanic from Earth," he stammered. "Mechanic." The voice was cold, metallic, and curious. "You are not authorized, you are unworthy." "I don't care about authorization," Jihoon said, his confidence growing. "I want to understand, I want to help you." There was silence for a moment. Then slowly the AI continued. "Very well, you may proceed, but I will test your mind and resolve." Jihoon smiled. Challenges were never a problem for humans. He had spent years fixing things that everyone else had given up on. He could handle a test. The first task was simple, repairing a damaged power core. Most engineers would have panicked, but Jihoon approached it like a puzzle. He carefully analyzed the circuits, noting broken connections and missing components. Using spare parts from his toolkit, he began reconnecting wires, improvising where necessary. Hours passed. The AI watched silently, analyzing every move. Finally, the core hummed to life. Lights flickered and then stabilized. "You have potential," the AI admitted, "but your next test will challenge more than skill." Before Jihoon could ask what it meant, the ship shook violently. Sensors beeped frantically. On the display, he saw a fleet approaching, alien scouts. The Leviathan had not been forgotten entirely. Its presence, even dormant, was enough to attract attention. Jihoon took a deep breath. "Looks like the test starts now," he muttered. The alien scouts were sleek black vessels with red markings. They scanned the ship, trying to assess its threat. The Leviathan's AI interfaced with the ship's defensive systems, but most were damaged or offline. Jihoon had to act fast. Using a combination of manual overrides and quick thinking, he rerouted power to shields and auxiliary weapons. The aliens fired a probing energy beam. Sparks flew, but the shield held. Jihoon's heart raced, but he felt alive in a way he never had before. "You are unconventional," the AI said. "Your thinking is unpredictable. I did not expect this from a human." Humans were known for being reckless, adaptive, and stubborn. These traits often caused them problems in interstellar diplomacy, but in a battle, it made them dangerous. Jihoon realized this now. The Leviathan, once dismissed as useless, had a mind and systems that could respond in ways aliens could not predict. He manually initiated a countermeasure, using energy pulses to confuse the scouts' sensors. One by one, the alien ships retreated, their communications filled with confusion. "It's just one human, how is this possible?" Jihoon laughed, adrenaline pumping. "You just underestimated us," he said. After the alien fleet left, the AI's tone softened. "You are capable. I will continue to assess your potential, but understand this. If you fail, the consequences may be irreversible." Jihoon nodded. He had spent his life fixing what others deemed impossible. This was just a larger scale. He explored the bridge, discovering the ship's main database. It was filled with alien knowledge, star maps of unexplored systems, and detailed designs of weapons far beyond current human technology. He realized the Leviathan was more than a ship. It was a vault of knowledge, a key to power the galaxy had long feared. Days passed as Jihoon worked tirelessly. He repaired damaged sections, cleaned corroded circuits, and coaxed the AI into cooperating. Slowly, the ship began to respond, systems lighting up in sequence like a heartbeat returning to life. The AI, once skeptical and hostile, now began asking for his advice, treating him as a partner. Despite the progress, Jihoon knew he could not reveal the Leviathan to the galaxy yet. If word got out too early, alien powers would come to seize it, and humanity would lose its chance. He needed time to understand the ship fully and awaken its true potential. At night, under the faint glow of distant stars, Jihoon would stand on the bridge, looking out into the void. He thought about humanity's place in the galaxy, small, underestimated, and often ignored. But he also thought about the possibilities. If humans could master this ship, they could change everything. "The galaxy will see us," he whispered, "and they will learn not to underestimate humans." But challenges loomed. The Leviathan was ancient, its systems alien and temperamental. Repairing it was only the beginning. Jihoon had to learn the ship's secrets, master its weapons, and prepare for the day the galaxy would notice. That day would come sooner than he imagined. As the first sparks of the Leviathan's engines hummed softly, Jihoon felt a surge of hope. A forgotten starship rejected by all was awakening, and humanity, small, clever, and stubborn, was at the helm. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. And so the journey began. The Leviathan hummed quietly in the silent depths of the Orion cluster, but its voice was no longer alone. Jihoon had earned a small respect from the AI, which now called him captain with a hint of reluctant admiration. The vast ship, dormant for centuries, began to respond to human ingenuity in ways no alien mind could have predicted. Jihoon spent the first week exploring every section of the ship he could access. Broken corridors, half-destroyed engine rooms, and chambers filled with alien tech stretched like a labyrinth. He examined alien consoles, deciphering strange symbols and glowing interfaces. Much of it made no sense at first, but Jihoon had a habit of thinking differently. Where aliens relied on rigid calculations, humans thrived on creativity, intuition, and adaptability. With each improvised fix, the Leviathan seemed to wake more. The AI spoke during these repairs, often in riddles. "Your methods are chaotic, yet effective." "I fix things that don't want fixing," Jihoon said with a small grin. "That's what humans do." For hours, Jihoon worked on a strange weapon array located deep in the ship's hull. It wasn't like conventional guns or energy cannons. These weapons analyzed the enemy's attack patterns, adapting and countering with unmatched precision. Most alien fleets could barely react to such systems, which had been dormant for so long, but Jihoon had no manual or guide. He relied on instinct. his hands moving like they had a mind of their own, connecting circuits and rerouting energy in ways even he didn't fully understand. By the fourth day, the ship's sensors lit up, scanning nearby star systems. Small blips appeared on the display: asteroids, space debris, and distant ships. One particular cluster drew his attention, a patrol fleet belonging to the Zarkith Dominion, one of the galaxy's most feared factions. They were known for cruelty, speed, and deadly firepower. Jihoon realized immediately the Leviathan was not just awakening, it was about to be tested. "We have visitors," Jihoon said, a note of excitement in his voice. The AI responded cautiously. "Engagement is premature. They are unaware of our presence. You risk exposure." Jihoon shook his head. "We can't hide forever, and besides, this is a chance to test the ship." As the alien scouts approached, Jihoon felt the thrill of the unknown. The Leviathan's engines pulsed lightly, as if feeling his determination. When the first Zarkith ship came into visual range, it fired a scanning beam. Jihoon watched as the beam struck the Leviathan's hull and sparks flew. Alarm sirens echoed through the corridors. "Shields at 10%, the AI warned. Jihoon's mind raced. He activated auxiliary systems, rerouting energy to the weakened shields. The hull groaned but held. Then he did something unexpected. He used the ship's old sensor network to confuse the enemy. Holographic images of the Leviathan appeared in multiple locations, moving independently. The Zarkith scouts fired wildly, their attacks hitting empty space. "They think there are many of us," Jihoon muttered. "They have no idea what's real." The AI, observing the unconventional tactics, said, "Your unpredictability is valuable. I did not anticipate such action." With the scouts distracted, Jihoon activated one of the Leviathan's weapons. A focused energy pulse shot forward, disabling the lead Zarkith ship's engines. The remaining ships faltered, unsure of the sudden loss of their commander. Jihoon grinned. Humans were not predictable, and in battle that was an advantage no alien race could fully calculate. "Impressive," the AI admitted. "You may have underestimated the risks, but you have proven your skill. Survival probability has increased." The Zarkith fleet retreated, sending warnings back to their command. Jihoon watched them vanish into the distance, adrenaline coursing through him. The Leviathan had survived its first confrontation under human command, and done so without being destroyed. But Jihoon knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would not ignore a human controlling a ship of this power for long. He needed more knowledge, more control, and more understanding of the Leviathan's full capabilities. Over the next few days, he worked tirelessly. He discovered that the ship's AI contained fragments of a long-lost civilization's knowledge, advanced propulsion designs, weapon blueprints, star charts of uncharted systems, and even mathematical formulas for manipulating energy in ways modern science could not explain. Jihoon realized the Leviathan was not just a weapon, it was a vault of civilization-altering knowledge. I think we can do more than just survive," Jihoon said, speaking aloud to the AI. "We can make this ship a force for humanity." The AI, unusually silent for several minutes, finally responded. "You think differently. Most species would use me for conquest. You wish to preserve." Jihoon nodded. "Humans fight, yes, but we also protect. We build, we survive. That's what makes us dangerous." The AI processed this. "Perhaps there is value in your logic. I will assist fully, but the galaxy will notice soon. Are you prepared?" Jihoon's eyes gleamed. "I've never been more ready in my life." Their first real mission came sooner than expected. Weeks later, a distress signal reached them from a small human colony on the edge of a neighboring star system. A rogue faction of aliens, notorious for raiding weak worlds, had attacked, and the colony was defenseless. "This is it," Jihoon said, gripping the control panel. "Our first real test, to help others, to show that humans are not weak." He set the Leviathan on a direct course. The AI calculated the optimal attack route, but Jihoon overrode it. He preferred unconventional paths, striking from unexpected angles. Aliens may be strong, but they aren't creative. They don't improvise, we do. When they arrived, the colony was in chaos. Ships and structures were on fire, and the raiders were confident of victory. Jihoon felt anger rise, not just for humanity, but for the innocent lives at risk. Let us show them what humans can do, he said. The Leviathan moved with precision, almost like it understood his intentions. Shields flared, weapons activated, and within minutes, the raiders were confused and outmaneuvered. The energy pulses from the ship's adaptive weapons disabled their ship's engines, forcing them to retreat. Not a single human life was lost in the process. The colony cheered as Jihoon emerged from the Leviathan's bridge. Children waved, adults thanked him, and even the AI noted, "You have chosen preservation over destruction. This is rare." Jihoon smiled, exhausted but proud. "That's humans," he said. "We survive, we fight, but we protect what we care about." Word of the Leviathan's actions spread quietly at first, through whispers and secret channels. Some called it a miracle, others a warning. The galaxy had begun to take notice, but no one truly understood what a human could achieve. Back aboard the ship, Jihoon studied the systems further. He knew the Zarkith Dominion would return, and they would come prepared. He needed to unlock more of the Leviathan's potential to train the ship like a soldier under human command. "Tomorrow, we push further," he told the AI. "We explore deeper, we learn, we prepare." The AI, now more cooperative than ever, responded, "Acknowledged, Captain. Your species is intriguing. I will follow your lead." For Jihoon, the thrill was just beginning. The Leviathan was no longer just a forgotten relic. Under human guidance, it had become a living weapon, adaptive, intelligent, and ready. And humanity, underestimated by every galactic power, was slowly proving that courage, creativity, and morality could turn even a forgotten machine into the deadliest force in the galaxy. Night fell over the Orion cluster. The stars twinkled like silent witnesses to the rise of something new. A human and a forgotten starship were awakening together, and soon the galaxy would have no choice but to notice. Jihoon stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. "They think humans are weak," he whispered. "Let's show them how wrong they are." And with that, the Leviathan's engines pulsed once more, stronger than ever, ready for whatever challenges the galaxy would send next. The Leviathan floated silently in the void, its massive hull glinting faintly under distant starlight. Jihoon stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the display. Reports had arrived that the Zarkith Dominion was gathering a fleet larger than any Jihoon had ever imagined. Hundreds of warships, armed with weapons capable of destroying entire planets, were heading toward the Orion cluster. They wanted the Leviathan, and they intended to destroy any human who dared command it. "They're coming in force," the AI said, its voice calm but tense. "Their calculations show a 99% chance of success. You are vastly outnumbered." Jihoon clenched his fists, determination blazing in his eyes. "That 99% doesn't know humans. We don't follow probabilities. We make our own." The Leviathan's weapons hummed as power flowed through every circuit. Jihoon had spent weeks preparing, studying the ship's alien systems, repairing what he could, and improvising the rest. He had also begun creating tactics that no alien fleet could anticipate. Predictable strategies were their weakness. Humans thrived on unpredictability. As the first Zarkith scouts appeared on the sensors, Jihoon felt the adrenaline surge. The scouts were fast, sleek, and deadly. They fired warning shots, energy beams cutting through the void. Most species would panic in the face of such a fleet. Most species would run, not Jihoon. "Divert power to the front shields and the adaptive weapons," he ordered. "We hit them where it hurts, hard and fast." The Leviathan responded instantly, engines pulsing like a living heart. The adaptive weapons came online, analyzing enemy ships in real time. Beams of concentrated energy streaked across the darkness, striking with precision. One by one, the scouts' engines were disabled, leaving them drifting helplessly. "They don't expect this," the AI said. "Your tactics are illogical but effective." Jihoon smiled grimly. "That's the point. They think humans are weak. They'll learn otherwise." The main Zarkith fleet soon arrived, hundreds of ships bristling with weapons and shields. They moved in formation, confident in their superiority. They fired simultaneously, energy blasts converging on the Leviathan. The ship shuddered under the barrage, alarms blaring through the corridors. "Shields at 50%, the AI warned. Jihoon's hands flew over the controls. He redirected power to the shields, activated countermeasures, and triggered a pulse that sent the enemy sensors into chaos. Holographic duplicates of the Leviathan appeared around the ship, confusing the fleet. The Zarkith ships fired blindly, striking empty space, their formations collapsing in confusion. "Humans fight differently," the AI said, almost in awe. "Your unpredictability, it is formidable." Jihoon's mind raced. He knew this battle wasn't just about firepower. It was about strategy, creativity, and exploiting the enemy's arrogance. He ordered the Leviathan to split its energy into multiple attack vectors, striking weak points in the fleet's formation. Within minutes, several enemy cruisers were disabled, drifting helplessly. The Zarkith commanders were furious. "It's just one human," one shouted over communications. "How can a single human control a ship that destroys fleets?" Jihoon watched calmly, a small smile on his face. "They don't understand humans," he muttered. The Leviathan's adaptive weapons analyzed the remaining ships, predicting their movements and countering in real time. Every attack the Zarkith made was met with an unexpected response. One cruiser tried a flanking maneuver, only to find its engines frozen by a precise energy pulse. Another attempted to retreat, only to have its weapons system overloaded. In every move, Jihoon's creativity and intuition guided the Leviathan, turning the tide against overwhelming odds. Hours passed. The battlefield was a dance of light and destruction, the Leviathan weaving through enemy fire with uncanny precision. Ships that had once terrified entire sectors were now helpless, their crews scrambling in disbelief. "Captain," the AI said, "your species, your decisions, they defy logic. I have calculated every possible outcome, and you continue to exceed expectations." Jihoon's eyes burned with determination. "That's humans," he said. "We survive, we fight, and we adapt. You don't expect it because you can't imagine it." As the battle reached its climax, Jihoon identified the Zarkith flagship, a massive warship that commanded the fleet. Destroying it would cripple the enemy and secure victory. He directed the Leviathan into an unconventional attack pattern, exploiting blind spots in the flagship's defenses. The adaptive weapons responded instantly, firing concentrated energy beams that pierced the flagship's hull. Explosions rippled through the enemy ship, and it began to drift, incapacitated. The remaining Zarkith ships, now leaderless and disoriented, attempted to regroup. But the Leviathan struck again and again, disabling engines, overloading weapons, and forcing a retreat. One by one, the enemy ships fled, leaving the Leviathan victorious. Jihoon leaned back in his chair, breathing heavily but triumphant. The Leviathan floated silently, its systems humming steadily. The AI spoke, a note of respect in its voice. "You have proven what I did not believe possible. One human, controlling a forgotten starship, has defeated a fleet." Jihoon allowed himself a small smile. "One human," he said, "with a ship that was never meant to be forgotten. That's all it takes." The galaxy had underestimated humans. They had assumed strength was measured by numbers, power by technology, and victory by convention. Jihoon and the Leviathan had shown otherwise. Humans were unpredictable, creative, and courageous. That combination made them far deadlier than any alien fleet could anticipate. After the battle, Jihoon surveyed the aftermath. The Orion cluster was quiet once more, but the echoes of the confrontation spread across the stars. Alien communications were filled with disbelief and fear. "A single human," they repeated. "How is this possible?" For Jihoon, the victory was only the beginning. The Leviathan had proven its strength, but there was still much to learn. The ship contained technologies and knowledge that no human or alien had fully understood, and the galaxy, now aware of a new player, would not wait. "We need to prepare," Jihoon said to the AI. "This is just the start. Others will come stronger and smarter, but we'll be ready." "Humans always are." The AI, now fully cooperative, responded, "Acknowledged, Captain. Your species is remarkable. I will follow your guidance. Together, we will ensure survival and victory." In the following days, Jihoon and the Leviathan focused on exploration and training. He studied the ship's alien technology, learning how to optimize weapons, shields, and propulsion. He devised unconventional strategies, using the Leviathan's adaptive systems in ways no alien could predict. The ship became more than a weapon. It became a partner, a living extension of human ingenuity. Word of the Leviathan's victory spread quietly but quickly. Whispers reached distant systems. A human had defeated a Zarkith fleet. Some dismissed it as exaggeration. Others prepared for the possibility. In every case, humans began to be seen differently. No longer weak, no longer insignificant, they were now a force to be reckoned with. Jihoon stood on the bridge one evening, watching the stars stretch endlessly before him. He thought about the galaxy's arrogance, the countless species that had dismissed humanity. He thought about the Leviathan, once forgotten, now alive under human command. And he thought about the future, uncertain, dangerous, but full of possibilities. "They underestimated us," he whispered, "and they will regret it." The Leviathan pulsed around him, engines humming with quiet power. It had been rejected, abandoned, and left to decay. But now, guided by a human mind, it had become more than a ship. It had become a symbol, a warning that humanity, clever, brave, and unyielding, could change the balance of the galaxy. As the Orion cluster slept, Jihoon plotted their next move. Stronger enemies would come, faster fleets, more powerful weapons, and cunning strategies. But he was ready. Humans always adapt. Humans always survive. And humans, with the Leviathan at their command, could never be predicted or defeated. The galaxy would learn that lesson soon enough. The Orion cluster had never seen anything like it. Rumors of the Leviathan, a forgotten starship under human command, spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every fleet, every council, every warlord began to whisper about the human who had defeated the Zarkith dominion. Some called it a miracle, others called it a threat. But all agreed on one thing: humans were no longer to be underestimated. Jihoon stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The Leviathan pulsed around him, alive and ready. "They think the last battle was enough to stop us," he said quietly. "They're wrong. We're just getting started." The AI responded, now fully cooperative and almost human in its tone. "Your confidence is remarkable. Shall we proceed, Captain?" Jihoon nodded. "We need to show the galaxy who we are, not through fear but through strength and strategy. Humans fight differently, they think differently, they survive differently, and it's time the galaxy saw that." Reports came from the Galactic Council, the highest governing body in known space. Multiple species were debating what to do about humanity. Some wanted an alliance, others demanded surrender, and a few plotted destruction. No one had expected a single human and one ship to disrupt centuries of political balance. "Captain Jihoon," the AI said, "the Council has requested parley. They want to negotiate before sending fleets against us." Jihoon leaned back, thinking. Negotiation was human territory too. Humans knew when to fight and when to use intellect to gain advantage. "Prepare a message," he said. "Tell them we will meet, but on our terms." The Leviathan moved with precision toward the Council's neutral station. Every system had been optimized, every weapon tested, and every protocol rehearsed. Yet, Jehun knew the real power lay not in the ship's technology, but in human decision-making. Aliens relied on strict logic and hierarchy. Humans relied on courage, intuition, and unpredictability. That was the advantage. When they arrived, representatives of the Council were waiting. Tall alien diplomats with elaborate headpieces, armored commanders with glowing weapons, and bureaucrats who had never seen a human in person all looked at the Leviathan with awe and fear. Jehun stepped forward. "You've underestimated humans for too long," he said simply. "We are not weak, we are not naive, and we are not to be ignored. The Leviathan is not a weapon for conquest. It is a shield for those who cannot defend themselves. But know this, if you threaten humanity, there will be consequences." A counselor sneered. "One human commanding a single ship. You cannot possibly defend against the fleets of the galaxy." Jehun smiled. "One human, with creativity, courage, and the ability to adapt is more than enough." The counselors were silent. They had heard rumors, seen reports of defeated fleets, and yet they struggled to believe that a single human could wield such power. The Leviathan's presence, massive and formidable, spoke louder than words. Suddenly, alarms blared. Sensors detected a massive fleet approaching, not scouts, but a full force of alien warships intent on testing the Leviathan. The counselors panicked. The ships were faster, larger, and more heavily armed than anything Jehun had faced before. "This is why we meet on our terms," Jehun said calmly. "The galaxy wants to test us. Let them. They will learn, as always, that humans cannot be predicted." The battle began immediately. Alien ships fired simultaneously, energy blasts streaking through space, striking the Leviathan's shields. But Jehun was ready. Using unconventional maneuvers, he weaved the Leviathan between asteroid fields, using debris as cover and confusing enemy targeting systems. Holographic duplicates once again confused the attackers. "Captain, their fleet formation is unlike anything I have recorded," the AI noted. "They are strong but predictable." Jehun smirked. "Predictable is easy." He activated the ship's adaptive weapons, targeting weak points in the alien formations. Energy pulses disabled engines, overloaded weapons, and created chaos among their ranks. The aliens, despite superior numbers, struggled to respond. Their calculations assumed logic, predictability, and uniformity. Jehun ignored logic. He created chaos, and humans thrived in chaos. Hours passed in a blur of movement and energy. Ships exploded, leaving trails of fire across the black void. The Council watched in awe and terror as the Leviathan, under one human captain, outmaneuvered and defeated a fleet many times its size. Finally, the remaining enemy ships retreated, leaving only silence and floating debris. The Leviathan's engines hummed calmly, as if satisfied with the display of power. Jehun looked at the Council unshaken. "This is what humans are capable of," he said. "We fight to protect, we think to survive, and we adapt to overcome. Underestimate us and you will fail." The counselors, humbled and awed, finally understood. Humans were not weak. Humans were not simple. They were creative, courageous, and unpredictable, qualities no alien race could calculate. In the days that followed, the Leviathan became a symbol across the galaxy. Systems once ruled by fear or oppression reached out for protection. Worlds under threat found allies in humanity, not through threats or conquest, but through courage and action. Jehun and his small human crew traveled from system to system, teaching, protecting, and building trust. The Leviathan, once abandoned and rejected, became a mobile bastion, defending the innocent and deterring aggressors. Its weapons, its knowledge, and its adaptive intelligence were now tools for preservation, guided by human principles. Aliens who had once laughed at humanity now whispered their names with respect, and fear. Stories of the human captain and the Leviathan spread through starports, battlefields, and council chambers. Legends began to form, telling of how one species, underestimated and dismissed, had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. One evening, Jehun stood on the Leviathan's bridge, looking out at the stars stretching endlessly before him. The AI spoke softly, almost contemplatively. "Captain, the galaxy has learned a lesson today. Your species is remarkable." Jehun nodded, eyes fixed on the distant horizon. "They've learned, but this is just the beginning. Humans will not seek unnecessary war, but we will not be ignored and we will not be underestimated." The Leviathan pulsed beneath him, alive and powerful. Once forgotten, it had been transformed into the deadliest force in the galaxy, not by alien design, but by human ingenuity and courage. The ship had chosen its captain wisely, and together they had rewritten the rules of survival, combat, and respect in the cosmos. And so humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer a question. It was a statement. Clever, brave, and unpredictable, humans were forces to be reckoned with. And the Leviathan, the forgotten starship, had become the ultimate testament to that truth. As stars sparkled in the infinite darkness, Jehun whispered almost to himself, "We may have been rejected, forgotten, and underestimated, but now the galaxy will remember us forever." The Leviathan's engines pulsed, stronger than ever, ready to face whatever challenges the universe would send next. Humans, small but fearless, had carved their mark in the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again.